Let's talk about recording your podcast interviews with ease and without the overwhelm. Rolling with the homies. Oh my God. Okay. Oh, there's hair on the microphone. Beautiful. Testing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Can't see the mic, but it's here. We're going to break this down into 3 stages of production. First stage, pre-pro, that pre-production phase. The first thing that you're going to want to do is identify who you want to interview and schedule those interviews. We use Calendly to do this because within Calendly, you can include some questions, you can include some space there for your guests to fill out information like their bio, their photos, and maybe get some insight from them on what questions are they feeling like they want to be asked, what's feeling really alive for them in their business right now, or what would be the ideal title of the episode in their eyes. This will help you get more and more into their head, into their heart, into their work. Once you get those interviews booked, first step is done. The next thing that you're going to want to do is prep your home studio. Right now, we are in my home studio. Me, my phone camera, my microphone. Right now, I'm recording this audio into Adobe Premiere. That's where I edit all of my videos and all of my podcast episodes. You get to keep your studio at home simple. I tell this to all of my podcasters. When you're first getting started, keep your home studio simple. Right? There's no reason to go above and beyond or to let the tech really overwhelm you. This microphone plugs into my computer via USB and I'm off and running. A couple of things about your home studio that you want to consider. Soundproofing, right? You want to make sure that there's not a bunch of empty space, dead space, where there'll be a big echo or you're near an open window. So you want to do what you can to eliminate as much background noise and echo as possible. If you have any questions about what equipment to buy, what's right for you, what's within your budget, you're going to want to download my free podcast launch starter guide. This is going to walk you through exactly what to buy, exactly how to set it up, and all of those beginner questions on what is my podcast about? Where do I begin on this journey? The next thing you're going to want to do, which this gets overlooked by a lot of podcast coaches and podcast courses, you want to prepare your voice, your throat chakra, and your energy for taking up space, for really channeling, for calling forward your most aligned listeners and your most aligned clients, right? Because you want your podcast listeners to become a deep part of your community. You want them to buy your offers. You want to help them. I like to clean off my space. I like to burn some sage or Palo Santo to reset the energy of the space, to do a little breath work, some vocal exercises, and listen to a meditation to really get me anchored in my highest self. If you're looking for a practice like this, I highly recommend going to The Creative Visionary and listening to episode 22. It's a meditation for calling in your most aligned podcast listeners and clients, and it's a beautiful visualization to get you back into that I am worthy of taking up space and that embodied place. The last piece of pre-production that I really like for my podcasters to consider is when you're going into the episode recording, have an idea of when that episode is going to go live, right? You're gonna have your schedule all planned out. So know what that live date is, because then you can know what's going on in your business at that time. What offers are you selling? What are you going to be focused on? What are your goals going to be at that time? Because sometimes you're recording an episode and it goes out months later, right? If you're ahead of the game and you are doing the damn thing, this is ideally how it's going to go for you. Be clear on what your live date is, mostly so that when you record your intro or any ad spots, you can invite people into exactly what's going on in your world at that time of the live date versus when you're recording the episode. Last little piece of bonus information that I want to include here is after you have a really beautiful, juicy interview with your guest, you're going to want to record your intro right away. That way you knock it out. And then also you're still in the energy of that conversation and you give your audience a quick download on what they can expect and what they're going to get out of that episode. When you have your live date in mind already, you can then speak to whatever offers you're selling or whatever you want to invite them into in the intro itself. All right, now it's time to move into the actual recording phase, the production phase. We recommend that all of our podcasters use Riverside for recording remote interviews. This is because Riverside really elevates the quality of your video and the quality of your sound recorded remotely. It really changes the game from those like grainy Zoom videos to really clear remote video. And that's great because a big part of promoting your podcast is, of course, using the power of video to do so. So you're gonna send your interviewee your Riverside Studio link, and you're both gonna jump on. It works pretty similar to Zoom. And when you're in there, the first thing you're gonna wanna do is just check your sound levels. You're gonna wanna make sure that your guest has a microphone plugged in. I'm working with the Audio Technica right now, or at least some iPhone headphones or a microphone that's connected to a cord, right? Like those old school iPhone headphones. You don't want to use Bluetooth. No AirPods, y'all. This is because the Bluetooth will really interfere with the sound quality. It will sound kind of like warbled and crackly and just like bad. So try and keep your microphone hardwired, unless it's of course like a really, really, really nice intentional Bluetooth microphone, then that will be okay. You want to do your best to have a hardwired microphone for you and for your guest. In the Riverside Studio, you can monitor your levels. So if you go into the red at all, you're going to want to back away from the microphone. Same for your guest. As you can see, as I get closer to my mic, it's a lot louder. And when I back away, if you're sitting all the way back in your chair, can't hear me as well. So you want to get to that sweet spot of where the audio sounds clear, but not too muffled because you're too close. And once you've recorded this incredible interview and had all of this fun talking to this new person, you're going to want to make sure that your episode uploads all the way to the cloud using Riverside before you get off of the call. So just be sure not to get off of the call too early. And then of course, I always stress this as a little bit of a tech nerd, make sure that your files are backed up. They will store on Riverside, but maybe you need to download them for your podcast editor, or if you're working with our team, just make sure that your files are safe. Last but not least, one of my favorite stages of production, we're moving into the edit, into post-production. So you're going to want to take your files, your audio or your video, if you're creating social content to promote your episode using video, and get that into the editing software of your choice. I personally use Adobe Premiere for everything. I have all of my podcast students inside of Spoken learn GarageBand, and we train on GarageBand because number one, it's free, and it's already installed on your Mac. And all of the feedback that I've gotten from my Spoken graduates is that GarageBand is definitely the easiest and definitely the most user-friendly. So you've got your audio from your interview, and you're gonna wanna get the other pieces of your episode together. Your music, any ad spots, your podcast official intro, your episode-specific intro, and if you choose, any kind of outro. If you go listen to the Creative Visionary podcast, you can listen back to the way that I have my episodes formatted. We always like to open up our episodes with a little soundbite, a little treat from the episode. We want to let the listener know immediately, this is a powerful episode, here's why you should listen. So I love including a soundbite at the beginning. And last but not least, you're going to want to publish your episode. We use Libsyn to host all of our clients' podcasts and the Creative Visionary podcast. So as you can see, breaking down your podcast production into these 3 stages makes it easy for you, makes it clear, and allows you to create a podcast that works for you. And I'm going to get into that in some other episodes and some other videos as well. How can your podcast production be as easeful and as simple as possible? How can you use the time that you've got in your schedule right now and shape your podcast around that? Stay tuned for more.